Welcome to JenTalks. We're back again live on a Tuesday. Tonight I am going to be talking to you about soulful self-care. Last week's talk, which seems to have disappeared from my YouTube channel, but it's on my other social media accounts, was on self-compassion and compassion for other people as well. So I will locate it and upload it again so that it's easy for you to find. It'll also be on my website. And the follow-on from that seemed to be like a natural follow-on to be around self-compassion, compassion for yourself, and also that leads into the idea of self-care. And self-care is one of these things that kind of gets bad press because we associate self-care with pampering, with external care as opposed to internal care. So in other words, like, getting your hair done, getting your nails done, getting your tan done. And not that any of that is not self-care. There is no judgment as to what your self-care is versus my self-care. But the idea is with all self-care that we have a bit of balance. So we look at self-care from the point of view of the physical, the mental, the emotional, and I also include the soul. And if soul is too heavy a word for you, try and even think of the word fun. What makes your heart sing or what gives your soul a hug? Because what fills you with absolute joy is really what self-care is about. So the first place I want to start with is a definition of self-care that I've come up with. I may have heard it somewhere else. I don't know. In my mind, it's a genuine original, but correct me if I'm wrong. And my definition of self-care is asking and checking in what is needed and delivering it in the moment. So what I mean by that is every day, every moment, throughout the day, we should be conscious of what it is that we actually need or want. Most of us are kind of sleepwalking through life. We get up out of bed, we put the same feet into the same slippers, we make the same cup of coffee, we might even have the same breakfast. We don't even stop and ask ourselves, do I actually want coffee this morning? Do I actually want muesli? Do I want to have the same breakfast that I had yesterday? Like our metabolism, our hormones, our bodies are changing every single day. There's no way that every single day we feel exactly the same. So the first tip I would give you is to pause before you even leave the bed, and pause by doing a little check-in on yourself. And here's what I do when I wake up in the morning. I say, right, who else is here? Is there anxiety? Is there depression? Is there tiredness? Is there hunger? What else is here? Who else is here? Whatever way you want to look at that. And then I say, what does Jenny need in this moment? Do I need to meditate? Do I need to do some breath work, which I usually do most mornings? Or am I super hungry today that I need to have more like protein in my diet than I would normally have? Or maybe I'm not even a bit hungry. Maybe I just don't even need breakfast today. One of my big ones is if I'm feeling a little bit low, particularly if I'm feeling tired, like this morning, I really struggled to get out of bed. I put music on because I found that once I put music on, it kind of gave me the little kind of pep in my step to get moving. But I didn't just get out of the bed unconsciously, half asleep, sleepwalking into a day to just rinse and repeat the same thing that I did yesterday and the day before, because that's not how the human experience operates. So when you stop and you pause, you do a little check-in. That's the very first step of self-care in the day, asking what is required, what is needed. You might say what your heart is calling, whatever language you want to use. What do you need to start your day? And then I deliver on what is needed. So if I know that I'm super hungry, I say, well, I better get out of bed because I need time to make breakfast, or I'll make a plan to stop for breakfast somewhere along the way. Or if it's that I need a bit of music or I need a meditation, I'll make time for it then. I always set my alarm a little bit earlier to allow me, I set it 15 minutes earlier to allow me that moment to pause before I actually get out of the bed. So that's a really, good way of addressing your self-care. So that's a daily practice that I have, a check-in and then feeding in both senses of the word what it is that I need. And then we also look at self-care as to what else can we do to care for ourselves. So self-care comes in kind of two avenues, if you like to think of it like this. Self-care is taking care of yourself, and also self-care, which I was just recently reminded with a client of mine, is having some care for yourself, as in holding yourself in regard, looking at yourself in a higher self-esteem, treating yourself with a bit more respect. And that's where the boundaries come in. I mean, I must have 4 videos on my channel on boundaries. So I'm not going to go into boundaries in much detail tonight, but just to talk about, holding yourself in regard is a form of self-care as well. So it's the respect and regard that you hold yourself, what you deserve, what you don't deserve, what you say yes to, what you say no to, and just holding yourself with a bit of respect and self-esteem and self-worth. That's one element of self-care. And then the other part is actually taking care of yourself, taking care of this physical vessel that we have that gets us around from A to Z. If the body's tired, we need to rest it. If you have a pain, your body's communicating with you to say, you need to slow down. If you're lifting heavy boxes, you need to stop lifting heavy boxes. Your body's always communicating with you. So listen to your body, because if you listen to your body and follow the lead, you can take care of yourself. And of course, in all care, prevention is better than cure. So why wait till the back is sore or the feet are sore or, the headache comes from stress or tiredness? It's about those daily little practices that you can do that will help you feel better. And it's not for me to give you a list of like 100 things to do for self-care. Self-care is what you need to make you feel better for yourself. And only you know the answer to that, because at the end of the day, as I always say, you are the expert of you. So that's your physical body. And then we have your mental element. So that's your mind. So what are you doing to keep your mind nice and fit and healthy? And of course, what's the best thing for your mind to be fit and healthy? Rest. So how we rest our mind, how we build our mental fitness. And I say mental fitness rather than mental health, because unfortunately, when we use the term mental health, there's a bit of stigma attached to that. People seem to respond to mental fitness better. What we do around our mental fitness, I always say, if you can do one thing for your mental fitness every single day, just small little consistent acts can keep your mental optimal fitness levels at an all-time high, and it prevents the onset of anxiety and depression. And it's not that there's going to be any magic cure. There's no magic cure for anything. But what it means is that whatever mental stresses and anxiety and depression you have come less often and stay for less amount of time. So it's the idea of prevention is better than cure, because it is about your fitness levels. Like the same way, if you're going to be lifting weights in the gym, your muscles are going to get stronger. It's exactly the same with your mind. So what we can do for our mind to rest our mind is we can meditate. And if you don't like to meditate, that's fine. You can do mindfulness exercises. There's tons of mindfulness stuff all over the internet and all over my channel. You can just do your breathing exercises, slow your breath down. Very, very simple. That's what I do on a daily basis. And of course, joy. Joy can be, time out in nature. It can be fishing. It can be ironing. It's something that takes you away from the moment, that you're not ranting in your head. You're literally just lost in the flow and the enjoyment of the activity. And once you're lost in translation, in that joy, that's also giving your mind a rest. And there's a million different things that can do that for you. Again, only you know that. And if you haven't got that in your life, that might be something that you look at adding in. Then we also have the emotional side. So emotional is recognizing our emotions and moving away from shaming the emotions, from good emotions versus bad emotions. There are no good versus bad. All emotions are your body's way of communicating with you. Emotions are energy in your system, moving around your system, communicating with you. So what we tend to do is we have, good emotions and bad. We tend to name them, categorize them into, they're the naughty emotions. We won't feel them. We'll just put them in a little box, and God forbid we would process them or allow them to be felt. Like we feel a sense of shame sometimes about some of the emotions that we have, like that we feel jealousy or we feel rage or we feel anger, that there's something wrong with us. They're 100% normal, because all emotions are there to give us a clue as to what's going on in our life. So here's what we do with emotions. We get curious. We first of all acknowledge, there's a bit of jealousy, or there's a bit of pain, or there's a bit of anger. What's going on with me here? I wonder what's causing that. So we acknowledge it. Then we get curious as to I wonder why I would feel jealous when I have everything here, or why am I feeling envious, or why am I feeling sad, or why am I feeling, guilt, and then to process it. And what we mean by that is to allow the emotion to be felt and expressed. And when we say expressed, it doesn't have to be expressed to another person. You can express it just out loud by yourself. You can express it into your phone. You can express it by writing it. That's why journaling is so powerful. You can sing it out loud. You can go into a field and scream if you want. But again, emotions are energy. So you're just moving the energy out of your body outwards. It's really, really powerful. That's keeping on top of your self-care. And then lastly, we talked about your soul. So your soul is your fun. It's your true inner self. If you think about it, it's like your true inner child. What would make your inner child happy, that they want to cartwheel and burst into song? That's a really important part of self-care, revisiting that, because fun is one of these things that we've put down to the bottom of the list, that it's something that we used to think about when we were younger, but now we're all serious and grown up. So God forbid we be thinking of having some fun. Or else we have the idea that fun only happens when we're out on a night out and involves copious amounts of alcohol or any other stimulants. So it's the idea that fun is that simple, innocent joy of play that we had when we were children, and we had a sense of freedom about us. So ask yourself, what could you do to revisit that in your life? And then on the final note, just to keep this YouTube clip that it's not too long, is the idea that you plan your self-care. So like everything, you write it down. It's 30% more likely to happen than if you don't write it down. So I would encourage you to write down a plan of something that you're going to do for yourself daily, something you're going to do for your self-care weekly, monthly, if you like to go as far as quarterly, and annually. And obviously, and I don't mean obviously, and sometimes it can work that the longer the distance is apart. So in other words, what you do annually might be a bigger gesture than something that you do daily. So for example, if you wanted to go for a retreat or a weekend away, or, something that's more time wise, maybe even might involve more money, might definitely involve more investment of energy from you, that might be something you do annually. The things you do daily might be something that just takes 2 or 3 minutes. It doesn't have to be an hour-long meditation. It could just be those small little elements. The last note I'm going to leave you on is the idea that consistency overrules gesture every single time. So small, incremental exercises on a daily basis will feed your overall well-being far better than any major big gestures that you make on occasion. Because what happens with us all, because we're human, is we make big, huge gestures and we keep them on for a certain amount of time, and then we go back to our normal behavior. Or if you can take something like a habit, a positive habit, every single day, incorporate it into your life, you're far more likely to maintain that, and that will feed into your overall well-being far more than any other major gestures that you do. Okay, before I finish up, I just want to remind you that the Wellbeing Network is still alive and running. And this month we have a gorgeous speaker called Roisin, and she's going to be talking about your gut, the health of your gut, and how it's connected to your brain, how it's connected to your overall mental health and physical health. And of course, that's the last Tuesday of the month, which happens to fall on the 31st of May. So if you're looking for tickets, they're on Eventbrite, they're on my website as always. And there will be more information to follow, but I just thought I'd give you the heads up. You heard it here first. And if I don't speak to you before then, keep an eye on the JenTalks. Next week, I'll be talking about a completely different topic, and I look forward to connecting back in with you then. So enjoy the rest of the week, and I look forward to speaking to you soon. Thank you so much again for joining me here on JenTalks. I appreciate all of your interaction, enthusiasm, and take care of yourself.